My first impression of the trip, it was definitely different than what I thought it was going to be. I kind of went into it with a mindset of like, how can we fix the people, and like almost like a mentality that I was better than them and that I was more knowledgeable. But when we got down there, it became really apparent, like, no, like maybe I need to do some self-reflection. Eli and Selene, the people that run Mission House, were very welcoming, and they were willing to have those kind of hard conversations with you of like, okay, let's sit down and talk about your faith. Like, if you're gonna pour into other people, like, I want to pour into you first. So they were just very welcoming and a very lovely community in the Yucatan. I think I definitely had a lot of self-reflection on this trip. I kind of went into it with thinking I had a certain testimony, and instead of making it about me, I wanted to kind of let God work through me, and like, how can I pour into these people? Because I felt like I was at a point in my walk with my faith that I could pour into other people, and just kind of realizing that maybe I need to take myself out of the equation and let Jesus work through me into other people. I definitely felt like there were moments where I could feel God pouring into me through the people. There was one time where they call it collecting kids to go to the VBS, and we stopped and talked to this woman, and she just started pulling avocados off her tree and just giving them to us, and we had no clue who she was, and she just started telling us her life story. And it kind of gave me a perspective change of like, they didn't have maybe as much like physical items that we have, but they were so willing to give us, complete strangers, like everything that they had, just because they wanted to show the love of Christ through giving us avocados. And just kind of seeing their culture and coming back here and kind of taking that culture with me and seeing like, how can I give a little bit of what I have to the people around me. The home visits were definitely a way I felt impacted through God on the trip. Just kind of hearing people's stories and how open they were to just talking about their faith or talking about how they don't have a faith, but just being open to the idea of it and not just shutting it away, and just kind of listening to people and like where they came from, like their stories, just like their home life was just really impactful and kind of just allowed me to do like a lot of self-reflection, I guess.
My name is Noah, and this past summer in 2025, I went on the young adult youth mission trip to the Yucatan. So when we went down this last summer, our team was mostly comprised of lots of students. There's these first-time students who are coming down, excited to hit the ground running. And the way I saw God using those kids the most was in their interactions with the kids that were down there, the local kids. The kiddos down there just absolutely love our young adults teams. And so we were busy playing games with the kids, playing soccer, playing baseball, doing arts and crafts. The students were preparing lessons and games for the kids for VBS. And in doing so, they form these awesome relationships with the kids. And so when the kids come around, that it invites the parents in as well. And then we get to have conversations with the parents. And through the kids, we're able to really connect with these communities in ways that we just wouldn't have been able to before. So our students were just outstanding with the kids. Being in the Yucatan with the first timers, I was reminded that it can be nerve-wracking to land, to go to a strange place, any sort of trip. But to land in a strange jungle, surrounded by an unfamiliar language, it can be very unnerving. And the way that, the kids were able to overcome that fear and anxiety, and instead walk in obedience with the Lord. It was a great reminder that we don't always need to have everything perfect, and confidence is not the most important thing, but rather obedience is the most important thing, and following Christ. God also showed me that leadership is a service. I went in kind of thinking that the other leaders and myself would be leading the charge with our activities and things we had to do around the place. And that was true during the travel, I will say. But what I think the other leaders and I were shown was that sometimes leadership means stepping back and letting your team use their gifts. I really was blown away by the willingness and the excitement of these students to entirely give themselves, especially to these kids. It really was remarkable. And, them doing that and giving them the space to do that and the support to do that ended up being, much more beneficial than anything I could have taught them or done on my own. So I had the privilege to travel down to Ichmul back in the summer of 2018, and then again this previous summer in 2025. And arguably my favorite part of the trip was seeing the impact and the influence that Eli and his team have had on the local community. They are stretching out into new villages, and there is just a joyful feeling that I can't really describe that is much more present than the last time I was down there 7 years ago. The Lord is working in these communities, and we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against the rulers of darkness in spiritual places. And evidence of spiritual warfare is quite apparent down there, and it's also very clear that the Lord is using Eli and his team, the short-term teams that go down there, as well as the people in the community that they support, to push back those front lines of Satan's army.
So I am a small group leader in GSM with high school, and my high school students are the senior girls, and so a lot of them got to come along on this trip, and it was their first time doing anything kind of mission related like that. And so one of the really cool things about having them there was getting to see them really come into their element with certain things. Like a lot of them were nervous, which is to be expected. I mean, you're in a foreign country, and talking about Jesus in a missional sense can kind of be intimidating, especially because we don't necessarily do that here in the States that directly often. But getting to see some of them step into that and really just embrace kind of the discomfort of it and push through that, and loving on these people really directly was something really cool to see. Especially the ones that were the most nervous tended to be the ones that ended up shining the brightest. We had I'll brag on Naomi because she was kind of the rock star on the trip for us. She ended up, like I said, I didn't really know what to expect from my girls going down there just because this was their first time, but she ended up kind of heading up the VBS that we ran down there, and she wrote all of the programming, designed all of the scripts for the skits that we did and all the games, and she just ran point on it. And that was something really cool to see as a leader, and so it was just cool to see people come into their element and use their gifts that way.
Yeah, I think when I think about the trip, it's interesting seeing new people go, because I feel like this was my third time going, and in some ways we're taking people that we get to know, and these kids and young adults that are here with us, and then taking them to a totally new context. And I always am surprised and thrilled with how God uses them immediately and very quickly. They join in, and they make connections, and they push outside themselves in a totally new context. And I think that is what's really special about this trip in particular. I think the people there in that area make it very welcoming for a person going for the first time, where it stretches them, but there's still a lot of comfortability with the people there and the leaders who are there. So I was thinking of Tristan in just his Spanish knowledge and just being able to almost be like an additional translator for us, and just how outgoing he was on the trip. And we had guys on our trip who were just who had some experience before and just did a lot of the physical labor, and so it was never a question of trying to get people to do things when we, that can just, I know sometimes people struggle with that age, and we really had very little of that. So it's so encouraging to see that, and cool to see those new connections, I think.
Yeah, we really just kind of got to turn them loose, honestly. Like, we got there, and you kind of expect to coach at least a little bit initially to get them through that nervousness at the beginning, and we really got there and just kind of unleashed the kids, and it was great, and they did amazing.
I also think that it was cool seeing a lot of things that I felt like I saw, the just whatever it is in that community and those people, there's God's moving there, and kind of feeling that spark myself when I was in high school, and then being able to see that for other students and then young adults as well is really special, and I think affirming to see that continue to grow.
I think definitely for me, in terms of what I learned on this trip, being a leader, I think there was a natural inclination to kind of step in and direct and lead and like kind of hold hands through the process. And that was something that when we got there, I kind of intentionally held back and like decided, like, I'm not gonna solve every little issue that pops up for you. I want you to be able to take the reins. Like, this is a young adult trip, and it was really cool to see a lot of the students and a lot of the other people, like the older adults on the trip, just jump in and not necessarily wait for instruction, and in that way, like, me not getting in the way of that happening, and people being able to use their gifts without like like the hand-holding part of that. I don't know if that's the right way of phrasing it, but yeah, just letting them step out in their own confidence with things and discover that you truly can do this. Like, you don't need the special training. Like, I'm not any more qualified just because I'm a couple years older than you. And you are definitely qualified, and you can express the love of Christ to these people simply because you have the love of Christ in you. That's the entire qualifier for it. And so just getting out of the way with that was something I had kind of resolved to do.
I mean, maybe it kind of goes along with the last one of just seeing people step in ways that I maybe didn't expect. And we had another team that was with us down there too, and just the way that they worked together very well. We didn't really have to facilitate even conversations, or maybe you should go sit with these people at dinner, or it really was a very quick transition that way. And getting to come in with open hands, and whatever Eli had us do, I said that even before the trip, was like, what are we doing? I was like, whatever Eli tells us to do, and whatever the Lord leads us for that week, which could be more physical, it could be more house visits, but in all of those things, we're serving that community and we're serving the Lord. Yeah, I mean, I loved having Kayli there. I was so glad that we got to go together for a second year. It's cool to be able to have things that we can do together there, and things that we are leading in different spots, and getting to connect and share about how the Lord is working in my heart and in her heart, and seeing how things move on the team. And I think it's cool that, we've both done individual missions work, or led in different ways where we're not together, and you're kind of catching them up later and sharing about, well, this is what happened here, and here's what I think happened here, and being able to go together, we both get to see it. We both get to experience an incredible place, and incredible people, and I think you kind of build connections with the people that you're on that trip with for a lifetime. And so even if you're not super close with them, you remember we went on that trip together, we served together. So be able to kind of build those memories and connections together is really special to me.
Yeah, I definitely think being able to go on this trip with Connor and us having been even recently married like a month before this trip, essentially, was just a different dynamic. We had gone the year before together, just dating, and but being able to go with one another, I think it was so cool to see you in that kind of environment. And even there was like a little bit of an extra comfort in that I had somebody there that was so special to me. Like I felt very spoiled in that, but it was also really cool to be able to build off of one another and just, yeah, like you said, you grow so much closer with the people that you're on the trip with. Like, regardless of where you guys kind of start out, like you're kind of strangers in the airport, and then by the time you get to the area in Mexico after you've endured the travel day, like you're thick as thieves at that point. To be able to grow closer with you and see you in that kind of a special environment, like that was so much more special to me. And then it just, even working as teammates in that situation was so much easier and just special. And yeah, so I would love to keep doing that kind of thing with you. So I think if you're considering going on a trip like this and you're not really sure if it's for you, or you kind of feel like maybe you're not ready for it yet, what all would this entail? I would tell you to just take the plunge with it. Like, it is so like life-giving, and you, as much as you are doing your best to pour out to the people that you're serving, and that's such an important aspect of why you're going, I think we always talk about just how much we end up getting from the trip ourselves, and obviously that's not necessarily the motivation behind going, but it is something that is going to return to you in a way. And these people end up just, I carry so many of their stories with me, and a part of going on these kinds of trips is it just simplifies things for you in like a really profound way, to kind of know that you're living out your purpose, and it's almost in its most simplistic form. Like, I'm sharing the love of Jesus directly with another person, and I'm getting up, and that's my entire goal for the day. I have no distractions of my job, my any people around me other than those I am directly ministering to. And so it is a really life-giving, rewarding week to be able to solely focus on something like that. And you are more than qualified. Like, I think that's something I always come back to. Like, I totally understand the doubt in yourself, in like, I've never had to share the gospel before directly. We don't really do that much here as direct as it can be on these trips. And that is something that once you start to kind of exercise that muscle in a way, it gets so much easier, and you can definitely do it. I think that's always something that surprises me on these trips. You got to work off a little bit of the rust, but you can share the love of Christ. That's an easy thing when you have it in you, and it's kind of an outpouring that way. So
yeah, I mean, I was thinking about even the family piece, and the opportunity to share an experience like that with a family is incredible. To be able to see a small piece of the global church, because our picture that we see here is so different. The way that we see ministry is so different. The way that we look at growing a church is so different. There's so many different avenues that I don't think it's a certain type of person that needs to go. I think that the gifts that God has given each one of us can be used for his kingdom here and in Mexico. And so to be able to have that chance to go and not necessarily have a perfect plan, of, I'm going to get up and give a sermon necessarily. That doesn't have to be you. And that doesn't have to be your kids who are doing that, but it might be them. For us, it was, and sometimes it was helping in the citrus field, or we were painting at the school to gain favor within the community to build those connections. And so I don't think it has to be a, younger, older, or outgoing or quiet. There's a value of having many different kind of people on that trip. Mm-hmm. And we were able to see that and see God work with those people to use him there. So I would say the same thing that you said, where, take that leap and go. And it's even better if you can bring your family, because there's, I think, a level of comfort that goes with that, and a chance to build incredible experiences as God is using you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I think it's as simple as it is for me, is just, this was a huge trip for me when I was in high school. And so it's really cool to be able to still see God move in those communities and continue to expand and grow with neighboring communities and people who are hearing the gospel.
I would definitely say to somebody who's considering this trip that they should go. Even if you feel like, well, I don't know if God's pushing me, I don't know if this is what I'm being called to do, like, you're going to regret it if you don't go, and you're going to wish you would have gone. And even if God is like putting the idea in your brain, he wants you to go. He doesn't want you to hold back and say, oh, maybe in a couple years I'll go, maybe later in life, because you never know what's going to happen, and you never know what tomorrow is going to look like. So why not take the opportunity to go right now when it's given to you? I would definitely say it's helpful to kind of write down your testimony and write down some of your favorite verses, just so when you're down there, you're staying grounded in your own faith when you're pouring into other people, and just being open to God working through you, and just kind of giving the week to God and saying, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do this week, and just allowing him to give those opportunities, and just staying consistent with prayer.
If I was talking to someone who was considering a short-term missions trip, I would first of all just highly encourage them to do it. I think going into a first-time mission, you kind of expect to go there, plant some seeds, and then come home. And, you had a cool week. All right. But really, the Lord uses these short-term missions to reveal things to you about your heart and your reality, and the way that we need to love more like Christ every day. So missions is not something that you go and do and it's over with. That is something that you take with you, and we have to be missionaries every day. Secondly, if you're ever considering learning the language of wherever you're traveling to, now would be the time to get the ball rolling. We had a resident Spanish learner on our team, Tristan, who was able to communicate with the locals in ways that, when at times when the translators weren't available, and they do an amazing job. But it really was something special to have a student there who was going out of their way to talk to people on the street while we were doing our work and building those new connections. So I think that is very valuable.